He is unflappable, and he has a measured manner. He is not a micromanager. He expects people to have fire in their belly. He's a person of enormous integrity, there it is again. And in terms of his decision making, he is not a ready, fire, and aim guy. I'm assuming he got that in that order for a reason, because other folks are. That's incredibly important, I think, to the kind of person that we need here today, right? Someone who is not going to come in and act as if they are the person with the magic wand. Adele, one of the great things for me that I can tell from talking to a lot of folks and answering a lot of questions, he has this quiet confidence about him. You saw some of that talked about in the newspaper today. He's a service-centered leader, and most importantly, he builds great people around him. I wasn't talking about Goldman Sachs and Merck because I thought that was cool, right? I've been in the private sector. It is what it is. The reason why I mention that is because I think it's fantastic that you have an individual who can build people around him to have greater opportunities and go on to be CIOs of major corporations. That's an impressive characteristic that I hope he's going to bring here to Philadelphia. I know he has an open door policy, which you guys know I'm fond of. He's a highly effective manager. He puts his people in a position to succeed. And I know he has great core values because we spent a lot of time talking about those core values. I want to also say this. He's not the Messiah, right? He's going to need every single person in this room to be successful. That's why dumb rumors are stupid and we got to stop them today. That's why splintered factions and backbiting and unprofessional conduct is not going to be tolerated. That needs to stop today. This is about you and him working with my support, all of us as a team, to be successful for the city of Philadelphia. If we don't do those things, we're all going to fail. And none of us want to be there. So I can't tell you how happy I am for today. I'm looking forward to not only working closely with him, but watching this team really flourish under his leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, Adele Abid.
Great, thank you. As you can see, I'm vertically challenged. Not as, so I have to put the microphone down. Can everybody at least see my face? Right. First of all, I just want to thank Tommy for being a good soldier and stepping in until Rich and the city conducted their search. This is not the first time Tommy stepped in to do this. I've called on him many times in the past, and he was always the good, quiet soldier who steps in, and the more chaotic the situation, the better results I saw out of Tommy. So I want to personally thank Tommy, and I look forward to working with him moving forward. I also want to thank Rich for, initially I came in, and I have to be honest, I wasn't convinced that this is where I saw my next step initially. So he spent a lot of time with me. He was extremely persuasive. And he convinced me that, Adele, this is the right place for you. And that's why it took 25 hours. But the more I met with him, the more I met with his team, David, Brian, the more I met with, the more I spoke to Tommy, and I've even reached out to some folks in the past. And then I met with the mayor, who struck me as someone who's calm, cool, and collected. I love that demeanor. And he really came across as very compassionate about what he wants to accomplish. And I think that probably pushed me over the fence, frankly. I think that I expected a man of his position would probably spend no more than 5 or 7 minutes with me, but when he spent close to 2 hours with me on a Friday night, I just got the sense that this is very important to him. And that's when I went home, spoke to the wife, who's obviously final boss in all cases, and we said, we're going to do this. There's a lot of unknowns, but I'm a risk taker. I'm eager to work with each and every one of you. It's going to take some time for me to get the lay of the land and understand the landscape, but I'm a quick study, and I'm going to rely on each and every one of you to be patient in that process. I'd like to maybe just spend some time on my own personal philosophy, my leadership style, maybe some core values that I hold true no matter what kind of challenge I've went through in the past. You know, when I hear people commenting about how calm, cool, and collective I am, how in the face of a crisis I don't really show any emotion, that could be good or bad, right? I mean, if we have an outage, trust me, I'm going to be very emotional. But I have learned quite a bit that the best thing to do is really just keep a level-headed and try to be a problem solver and bring some positive energy to the team. I do believe in being humbly confident. I'm not arrogant. I hope when you work with me, you'll come to that same conclusion. I am by all means not the smartest guy in the room, but I love to surround myself by some really smart people so I can get my work done through them. I do believe in respect for the employee, I respect for the team, and at the end of the day, the team is much smarter than the individual. And I think you're going to see that I will try to bring a teamwork approach to solving problems. I'm not going to stand here and claim that I know the technology issues that you guys are going through. But I can tell you this. Whatever you're going through, they are probably no different than what the state of New Jersey has gone through or is going through and what every other government entity is going through. We've got some really very interesting dynamics going on. We have an aging workforce. We have some emerging technologies that are really challenging the traditional work that we used to do. We have unbelievable pent-up demand from all your customers who want to see you do more with much, much, much less. And we're unfortunately in a function where if you do 99 things right, people say that you're doing your job. But get that one thing wrong, and everybody is in an uproar and very upset. So I've been there. 23 years of going through multiple roles. I've seen good, bad, and indifferent. I'd like to say that I've learned more from my mistakes than from my successes. I will bring all those lessons learned to the table, and I'll take as much time as that I need to take to really totally understand, do my own assessment. It's very important for me that you know that I am not walking in here with any preconceived notions about what's working and what's not working. You hear stories, but I am promising you that I'm not paying attention to any of those stories. I'm going to walk in and just conduct my own assessment, talk to as many people as I could, and really try to figure out some early observations about what is working that we need to preserve, what's not working, where you need my help and support. And more importantly, if there are some organizational issues that we need to solve, separate those out from the technology issues, separate those out from the customer service issues and so on. But you can count on me to communicate early and often about what at least I'm observing. Because it's my way, when I do that, it's my way of getting you to help me confirm, are my assumptions correct? I believe in respectful pushback. So if you believe that some of my assumptions or observations are not accurate, I want you to call me to the carpet. I want you to correct me when you think I have an observation that missed the boat. I do have an open door policy. I'm very approachable. You should know, however, that if you're going to come in my office, I do want you to vent and complain about what's bothering you, or share with me an issue that's troubling you. But I also expect you to help me out solving the problem. I don't want you to just walk in, dump an issue on the desk, and kind of walk out. Just like you're going to hold me accountable to help lead the team, I'm going to hold you accountable so that nobody's absolved of their responsibility. I did spend the morning meeting with the commissioners, and certainly they had one side of the story. I spent the afternoon having lunch with the core management team, and again, certainly they had another side, even though they didn't come out and say it, but I could read between the lines. And I'm sure that when I get a chance to talk to all of you, you're going to have also perhaps a different side. It's very important that my job is not to figure out who's right or who's wrong. Really, my job is just to work through those issues and focus on what the priorities are, get the job done so that people can believe in us and that we can rebuild any credibility that we may have lost. Whether the credibility gap is real or perceived, it really doesn't matter in the customer's eye. The customer feels that this is their expectation. Anything less than that is a gap. So I'm going to work very hard to make sure that I understand first what their expectations are, help you assess at least where the capacity gaps are. I'm quite sure, just like in New Jersey, you've got 1,800 projects or maybe 1,500 projects, and every day you're losing talent, whether to retirement or to the outside market. There's a lot of pressure on you. You're stretched in all different directions. You're a mile wide and an inch deep. And you're having a hard time figuring out what the priorities are. And when that happens, you guys get very frustrated. And that frustration manifests itself in many different ways. So one of the things I'm going to focus on is helping you build a priority setting process. We are not the ones who set priorities. I'm going to put that responsibility on Rich, frankly, and his commissioners, and the commissioners, and to some extent the mayor. They need to set some business priorities for us. We have the responsibility to come back and share with them what it takes to address those responsibilities and how we address the gaps. We need to have a very clear understanding of what is priority number one so that we can make sure that resources are focused on those and that everything else doesn't get thrown away, it just gets best effort. And I think people need to understand that concept. I believe in some management practices, and actually to Tommy's credit, when he was in New Jersey, he helped us bring in things like ITIL. If those principles are not here today, I'm going to work very hard to try to bring some of the components of ITIL that are really meaningful, whether it's capacity management, demand management, change management, all the things that go to helping us rationalize our infrastructure and stabilize it. Yes, there's an emphasis on innovation, but that's not at the, that doesn't mean that we don't pay attention to the infrastructure. The trains have to run on time, infrastructure needs to be stable, but we also want to bring a sense of entrepreneurship and innovation so that